When you start realizing that everything you do, think, say is affecting everything else, then you realize, and you'll be more cognizant of what you do, think, and say.
American Real presents our debut episode with Anthony Brunelli.
So what kind of life do you want to have? Do you want to have a joyous, prosperous, abundant life? Or do you want to think about your pain, or you want to think about, anger is a feeling that you have. Own it. You're angry for a reason. Be angry. Just do it with love.
Welcome to American Real. This is Roger Brooks, and my guest today is world-renowned artist Anthony Brunelli, whose amazing talents puts him as one of the most sought-after artists in the genre of photorealism. He's represented by the Louis K. Mizell Gallery in Soho, and his work has taken him all over the world, where he's captured incredible panorama scenes from cities on multiple continents. He's also the owner of the Anthony Brunelli Fine Arts Gallery in upstate New York. Tony and I have had a long history of friendship. His energy is infectious, and it's certainly no mistake why he's my first guest on this debut episode. Our discussion goes far deeper than the layers of paint on his canvas, and he's a living example of how our thoughts shape our lives and are as important as our actions. To see more of his work, go to anthonybrunelli.com. Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and share it with your friends. A special thanks goes out to our partners and sponsors, especially Happy Socks, cool socks for fun people. If you don't have a pair, you need to get some. I'll be wearing Happy Socks each and every episode. Finally, a debt of gratitude goes out to Brian Rose and the entire team at London Real and the London Real Academy. They have paved the way for American Real, setting a high bar, and I hope to make them proud. And now, without further ado, I bring to you Mr. Anthony Brunelli. "10 years ago, I interviewed 100 fascinating people and documented their stories in a 2-volume book series. Today, my journey continues. I'll be engaging with captivating guests, having candid, meaningful, and uncensored discussion as I aim to reveal the passion that comes from within, unlocking the mysteries needed to make purposeful change. My objective is to be a connector and enlighten listeners through stories of struggle and success, heartache and inspiration, offering solutions to challenges we face each and every day. This is a broadcast of real people, real stories, and real conversation. Everyone has a story. My job is to ensure their stories are told." My name is Roger Brooks. Inspired by Brian Rose of London Real and the London Real Academy and the Broadcast Yourself Accelerator course, I now bring you American Real. And now I bring you part 2, a nature hike with Anthony Brunelli. So what is it about the outdoors?
Oh, this is great. This will settle your metabolism down anytime. It's natural. Birds, the smell. I just built the studio down in Florida that's in the backyard. And it sits in between 2 royal palms with some great like banyan palm vegetation behind it. And so that's another, any kind of nature, whether it's a walk in the woods or the Everglades. We have the Everglades really close to us there. Anything that was here before us as human beings is what I find to be a great place to kind of just go, walk, sit, experience. But this nature preserve is a little gem here because you get a little bit of everything on these trails. You know, we're like right now we're at the peak going up through the woods, and now we're getting to the plateau. And it's magical. So all of it's like the reward for the big trek up. And as you can see, I'm breathing a little bit heavier now, but now is the beauty of it. You kind of you're sitting here on this plateau. Almost everybody just wants to stop when they get to this. And then you go down a little bit, and then it's the trek down. Great in all seasons, you know. The spring, summer, winter, and fall. Done it all. Different times of day. I haven't done the night yet. Actually, Tice Lerner wants to take me up here in the night. So he said it's a completely different experience then. Different animals, different sounds.
So you've worked with a number of artists over the years. Were you mentioning Jackie?
Yeah. Well, she's an artist, but also a patron. And she's probably the greatest because she loves art so much. I mean, it really is. For her, art is like food or water. She needs it to live. And she has this beautiful gallery in her house that she just enjoys. I'm sure I could just picture her sitting there for hours just looking at her artwork.
And what is it, therapeutic for people?
Well, I think art is different for everybody, you know. I mean, it runs the gamut from her to people who buy stuff purely for investment, never really look at it, store it, and then sell it. You know, I obviously not a fan of that, but what are you going to do? But, you know, I think the people who've really bought my work, you know, I think it's kind of like the law of attraction. They buy it because they enjoy it and they want to live with it. So that's really positive. I mean, John has been working with a local guy who lives most of the year in Nashville because he has where his company is, but he bought his old family home.
Right, parents' home.
And he remodeled it, and the entire house is prints of my work. And then now here we have the success of my own career was able to fund buying this building downtown and helping in the revitalization of the downtown area. So it's almost like life imitating art imitating life. Mm-hmm. And then now we have this world-renowned gallery in Binghamton, New York, and everybody's like, it doesn't matter. So it's almost like Binghamton's the center of the world for us, you know, just like Steve Jobs, it was probably California or whatever, you know. But what boils down is that it's all about the passion and sticking to it and just doing what you love and loving what you do. I mean, it really is. It's like I bet if you asked him right now, he'd say, I don't remember the last time I worked. You know, I mean, that's what I kind of try to told him. I'm like, you know, really the freedom in life is not about how much money you make. It's about the quality of your life. And there were times, many years, where he was running the gallery where he had very little money, just scraping by every month, just paying the bills, whatever. But I looked at him and I said, would you have it any other way? And he said, absolutely not, because I wake up every day and live how I want to live. I don't punch a time clock. I don't have a boss. I'm able to deal with these artists and these clients, and the money might not be coming in right now, but it's the way I want to live my life. And you know, now it is for him, and now it is. And again, it's, you know, you don't change what you do or how you've done it just because of that. And you know, money will always follow passion. It just will.
He mentioned that book, Man's Search for Meaning, in the podcast, and I went back yesterday when we were up by the lake going around. I just read half of it again.
Visual.
He often refers to that book by Carol Dweck called, it's on mindset, growth mindset versus scarcity mindset. She's like one of the leading researchers, and he said that's a seminal book in his bookshelf that he goes back to from time to time.
Yeah, you know, and all of these things, everybody has to find their own path. So, you know, it has their own book or has whatever,
Sure.
or has their own, you know, maybe they don't need the bent on how to become successful in business. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's a, you know, a life challenge, or maybe it's just, you know, finding inner peace with whatever. And again, that's really, that's the beauty of it, is that we are here to seek it out ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And only we can do that. You know, it's just like when you, like, I actually saw the interview with Dr. Drew, which I think is really great. I learned a lot about Dr. Drew that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
You know, and here is Dr. Drew, a doctor, but he really has some spiritual tendencies to the way he is practicing. And you know, these are things that he said, my life is constantly evolving. He said, so what I'm telling you right now could completely change in 15 minutes, because I can't believe how quickly that, you know, and a lot of the stuff that I'm doing to help these drug addicts are things that I wouldn't have tried
Right.
10 or 15 years ago.
Right.
And so, you know, I think that that's really the key. I think we're at I think humans are at a huge turning point in evolution right now.
Yeah.
And I think that the reason there's so much strife and angst and whatever, from addictions to suicides to just depression, you know, also just this constant fighting we are with each other, is, I just think it's the times are changing, and people don't, there's a lot of people who aren't like in tune to it. And even if you are in tune to it, it's still difficult, you know.
Right.
And I think that that's really, it's really a powerful thing to just know that it's okay, that it's all just part of the evolutionary process. And you know, if you don't like something, then you do have to do something inside yourself to change it.
They say be the change.
Be the change. It's very simple. You don't have to change your like. Yeah, I don't have to change my wife, my father, my kids, my whatever. I'm not. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to change myself, and through that, and through my example, is what really. That's how it happened.
Have you seen changes in others based on your changing, your growth?
Yeah. Oh, of course. But then again, I can also say there's people that I thought I could change, and they don't.
Well, is that the problem? We shouldn't want to change people, right?
Well, it's hard to, for me, that's my cross to bear. That's where I have to really, you know, watch and be observant of myself and my actions, because I got to remember that, and you know, sometimes it gets difficult, because you know that you could have something that could help alleviate some sort of suffering for a particular person, but then you also know that it has to come through them, and then all you have to do is kind of be the light. All you have to do is be that example, be the light, and you know, in the end, that actually is the thing that frees you up and creates less stress. So
Being the light.
being the light, it's very simple. You don't have to change anybody. And sometimes ultimate, like, big suffering has to happen. You know, it's what changes us. It's what, you know, it's that crack. And the light can't get in if there's not a crack. So, and it's not easy to watch a loved one suffer, but that's, you know, that's what you have to do sometimes.
Are there certain things you say to yourself every day when you wake up?
Oh yeah.
Just to remind.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have my mantra, and I think it's a practice. I think that everyone should get into some sort of, you know, spiritual practice, nature practice, call it what you will, but you know, it's like anything else. We spend all this time, education, going for our occupations, and a lot of people who are really into fitness, they're working out, you know, 3-5 times a week. You got to do the same thing with life, you know, and because if you don't, it creeps up on you, and you know, we all have that dark side, that shadow side. It has to be there, and you know, I think the whole purpose of life is to to live in balance with it, and to not let the dark side win, or not to give that too much energy. And that's what happens. That's why you see the terrible things that happen in the world, is that people have just allowed the dark side to have more of an edge than the light. But the practices that I have when I wake up every day, it's two things I say to myself. Practice non-judgment. That means non-judgment of everything. Non-judgment of people, a feeling, a thought. Just let them be, and observe. And the other thing is try to make love the dominant emotion in my life.
The dominant emotion.
Yeah, the dominant emotion of my life. And so, again, those aren't necessarily easy things. Sometimes, you don't like what your spouse is doing, or your whatever, a friend, or but you just kind of have to, like, I have something that I say to myself, especially in a conversation with somebody. If I feel it coming, it's like, what would love say right now, or what would love do? How would love react? And that really kind of diffuses the situation. It's like there was an example when I was going through a pretty rough time about 3.5 years ago, and it just seemed like I was kind of constantly at edge and had so much anxiety, and of course it was manifesting itself in my relationship with Emily. And I just got to a point where I was watching myself get angry at things that I was like, what am I getting angry for? And for the longest time I couldn't stop myself. And it was a learned behavior because it's what I saw when I was growing up through my childhood with my family. And I didn't like it. And so finally, I think it was a Tony Robbins book, and he was talking about that purpose thing, that thing. And so when I started an argument with Emily, I would just say, right now, I'm really mad at you. I don't want to be mad at you. And my voice would be raised. And I said, so just the mere act of one, having the awareness, but two, speaking it to her, not just saying, why the hell did you do that? I'm like, I don't know why I'm mad right now, and I'm so mad that you did that, and I don't know why I'm mad. That it almost immediately diffused the situation. And I can't tell you that many a time the argument turned into like a laughing session or whatever. And it was really great for me because, one, I took control of that thought and that action, and I was able to at least not, sometimes it would come out, but then I was able to temper it. But then she has a roadmap. She knows what's going on. She's not like saying to herself, why is this guy mad at me for this little thing? It's about that
communication, right?
It's about the communication, and that's the way that I had to personally do it. So, I recommend anybody trying that because it's really great. Your feelings are your feelings, and you really should own them. I think most people have problems because they're afraid of these feelings. Anger is a feeling that you have. Own it. You're angry for a reason. Be angry. Just do it with love. You know what I'm saying? So that's really the difference. So instead of coming home and like just bitching and moaning, and I'm telling you, something could happen that I'd be in such a good mood, I'd come home and say she would have something misplaced. And all of a sudden, the good mood turned from 0 to 60 into a bad mood. And, the old me would have just I would have sulked. And it maybe would have been, whatever. I would have not talked to her for a day. And I was like, that's crazy. But I started observing that, and I started observing the fact that wasn't right. It wasn't feeding me or her. So that's when I'm like, all right, what can I do? I can't stop being angry. So I was like, all right, I'm going to verbalize that I'm angry. I am literally going to tell her that I'm angry and why I'm angry. And I'm telling you, it was so unbelievable how that happened.
And you hear people talk about the growth within yourself. That sounds like you growing within yourself.
Yeah, and the real strides came to the fact when I just gave into it. When I really feel like anybody that has any kind of an issue, whether it's drug addiction, sex addiction, anger, whatever it is, the real problem lies in the fact that you want to get rid of it. And you know what? You can't get rid of it. You're never going to get rid of it. You know what? Even if you're not acting it out, it's always going to be there. So better feel it, express it, and get it out there. Then I think the problems comes when we just kind of keep these things inside and think that we're bad people, and we're not bad people. We just have to change our behavior. And communication is the key with everything, whether it's a relationship with a spouse or a child or a friend or politicians. It's all the same thing. It's all just about communicating. And it's okay to be mad, and it's okay to be upset. Just like it's okay to be happy and joyful and whatever. You know, just do every single one of those things with love as the dominant emotion. And I think that the world would be a better place. And more importantly, your own inner life would be a better place. And that really is the key. I no longer, one, I had to awaken to the fact that this is who I was. Because I was asleep. I didn't realize who I was. I didn't realize that I had that anger. I didn't realize that I was doing those things. And that's most of the world, most of the people. And again, it's not something that I'm saying that people are terrible. We're just asleep to it. We have got to awaken to the fact that this is what we do. And there's a reason for it. And you have to own these emotions. You have to. The only way you're going to get through it and make it any kind of better, you know, like an inner peace, is the fact that you got to own those. They are there. They're always going to be there. And you know what? They're purposeful. So that's kind of what I do every day, and it's every day. And you know what? When you slip a little bit is when things start to fall by the wayside, and you got to get back on the bike again. A lot of the books, readings, and case studies I do are kind of aimed at people who have low self-esteem, and you know, matter of fact, I've bordered on probably overconfidence. But the real key here is everyone has to learn how to take care of themselves, you know, and we live in a world where people are so afraid to do that. And so my advice to anybody is, then if you're feeling that, or if you feel your life is too busy, then you need to change that. And only you can change that. So it's be the change who you are. Well, you change your lifestyle. Then you'll say, oh, well, I've got the kids and I've got the job and I've got this. And I'm like, okay, so look at what's really important. Kids probably are really important. They're the first thing. But you know what? Maybe you're over-parenting. Maybe you don't need to be on the PTA. Maybe you need to pull back. A job, is it fulfilling you? Is this job fulfilling you? Is it overworking, or you're stressed out? Maybe you need to change the way the job is done. Maybe you need to change the job. So for me, it's really, there are no excuses. There are no excuses. I don't care if you're busy. I don't care if you're who you are. You have to find the time for yourself every single day. Every single day.
But society has gotten us to a point. I mean, if you think about the average person who lives in, say, New York City and has to commute an hour or two on the train each way, you know, put in a hard day's work, come home, you know, our parents have to cook, help the kids with homework. I mean, average person has a very hectic lifestyle.
Got to change that. They can't use that as an excuse, because that's why we are in the dilemma that we are in with the world. And good. I don't want this to sound like it's a bad. I think it's a great place. I think we're, as human beings, I think we're living in the most easiest times we've ever had in our lives, with technology and with, you know, all of these things. Our life has gotten better as human beings. You know, we have to remember that. The key is that you cannot use an excuse like life. I'm too busy right now, because you know what? You may die. And then what do? Right? So you have to take care of yourself. And you know what? Taking care of yourself is only going to make a better life for you and for everybody else around. You got to take the chance. You got to be willing to do it. I mean, you know, when I went through that tough period where I had the anxiety and, you know, that the hockey injury and the death of my mother and all of that, I literally felt like somebody else inhabited me and I couldn't get them out. And it was a really scary time. But I said to myself, I am going to make getting better my job, my occupation. So if I told Emily at the time, I said, if we go broke, we go broke. Because every day I woke up and I did whatever I had to do to help myself with the anxiety or whatever it is, whether that was meditating, reading, yoga, talking to friends, going for walks, running. I did it. I mean, it took probably a solid year and a half before I felt like I was back in control again of myself.
But you took care of you.
But I took care of me. And you know what happened throughout that year and a half? The world went on. Magically, this happened. He started selling work. I wasn't completely stopping painting, but things happen. I think the universe will reward you for taking care of yourself. I really do. I just think it's the natural thing. I think we're just so afraid of it. The majority of people think they live in a hostile world. And we don't live in a hostile world. We live in a very endearing, loving world that that we have to remember that we have to remember that, oh wow, it's okay to take care of myself. It's okay to go on a walk. It's okay. You know what? So wake up a half an hour early to meditate. Whatever it is, there's no excuses, or go to bed a half hour, an hour earlier because you may need to sleep. Just do it. Just do it. I think your life depends on it. You and everybody else. I really do. And I think that, but I really see a huge shift in people. I can't tell you how many friends I know who've just quit their jobs. John's got the same thing, and then just said they couldn't take it anymore. And now their life is thriving. And it doesn't necessarily mean always money all the time, but their life is thriving. They're doing what they want. They're living their life. I think really most of us should simplify our lives. What we really need is inside us, and we keep looking on the outside of us. We think these material things, or this relationship, or this thing, or this alcohol, or this drug is going to help us, and actually we're going the opposite direction. When everything that we need is inside of us already. And the only way that you're going to tap in that, and the only way you're going to get that, is to get quiet. Like walking in nature, or whatever it is. I've decided that, like I used to tell people, oh, you need to meditate, you need to do this. Well, you need to do whatever it is that you need to do that can get you in that quiet space. There are so many different things that you can do. Just go find it. Just go do it. I don't know what, I don't have your life. I don't know how you grew up. I don't know how you experience things. So there may be things that you go, maybe a lake. Maybe it's not meditation. Maybe it's just a nice workout. Maybe it's just a walk. Whatever it is, people are afraid of the word meditation because they think they're trying to stop their thoughts, and that's not what meditation is. It's not stopping thoughts. Thoughts will never stop. When thoughts stop? When you're dead. That's when thoughts stop. So you don't want to die. So meditation is just sitting there and observing thoughts, emotions, feelings, whatever. Just seeing them come and go, and realizing that they're all transitory. They're all just changing. It's all whatever. It's the most amazing thing. And then you get to a certain point where you're like, oh yeah. So when you are in the tough point where you're feeling whatever it is, angst or anger or whatever, just know that I also have this little saying, this too shall pass. So you don't you don't sit there and just ruminate on it. Just acknowledge it. Oh, that feeling's coming up again. That thought's coming up again. Okay. There you are. I see you. I found the best thing for me then, and it is now, is when I'm having something that I'm ruminating on, whether it's a thought or a pain or whatever, I literally change my physical body. That could be getting up, doing something, going down and doing push-ups, doing some yoga, even if it's just for 5 minutes, stretching, breathing, all of those things, they can immediately change it. It's like next thing you know, you're like, oh man, I was thinking about that. And you know what? It could keep coming back, so keep doing those things. And eventually it's kind of like retraining the neural pathways in your brain that they're not going to be the one, that thought is not going to be the one that's going to dictate your life. Because that thought is just a thought. I mean, really, what is it? It's nothing. It's really just, it's part of the air.
It's imaginary.
It's imaginary, and it's something that we created. And, when you realize that that's what it is, have fun with it, because this is what life is. It's about having fun and enjoying and taking life as it is, whatever it is. It's the playground. This is the playground. You're going to have the bully. You're never going to get rid of the bully. Learn how to play with the bully. You know what I'm saying? That's the key. I mean, you're never going to get rid of that childhood bully. You're just not. Always going to be there. So the sooner that you stop trying to get rid of that childhood bully, the more inner peace you're going to have. And actually, you will actually change the situation. Most people will change just by your vibration, your changing pattern. I have this thing where if I'm, especially because people like to talk politics right now, and that's just for me, I don't want to do it. So I have this thing where if people are saying things I don't necessarily agree with or like, I find the need that I don't need to speak. But if it's getting too intense, I just excuse myself, go to the bathroom or whatever. And then I try to change the subject, make it something, positive or enlightening or whatever. And that's the kind of tool that I use, because you have to choose and pick your battles. Your energy is really more important than anything else. What is it that I want to achieve here? That's really something that everybody should ask themselves. What's really great is if you can start getting more in harmony with that, and live the majority of your life with that feeling. Know that, okay, you know what? I shouldn't have had that one more drink. I knew I shouldn't have had that drink. Or I knew I should have turned here. You know what? I knew I should have waited. But again, the key is not beating yourself up, just saying at that moment, I'm going to make the change. Every second of every day is an opportunity for you to change. That's the wonderful thing. It doesn't matter what you did in your past, because the past is gone. All that really matters is that present moment, is the fact that right now is all there is. You know, when I first grasped the concept of that, it's really, for a while there, it's like really freaky. You're like, whoa. Because if I said to you, what is the past, Roger? How could you determine that? How do you know that it's real? How do you know it's real? And the future hasn't happened yet. So all there ever is that present moment. And, you know, they say when you really start living in the present moment, time just becomes kind of a non-issue, you know, the clock time. And I've had that happen, you know. I do these things where I really try, and you know what, I actually think it's okay to test the universe. Some people are afraid of that, but I actually think it's a really good thing.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, say, okay, you know how you, like, sometimes you're in a situation where, I know your path too, that you know, you try something and you read something and you're like, all right, I really buy that. And then something in life happens where you really have to, you got to, it's all, you know, now you got to walk the walk. And you say to yourself, oh man, can I do it in this situation? And like I've always told you, it's got to be 100%. If it's not 100%, if you don't do it all the time, then it's kind of like, okay, you got to buy in 100%. So like I have this thing, like I don't like to be late for things. And I was just, you know, the main reason I came here was to come back at the time I did, because I always play in this golf tournament, the Isaiah tournament. And I got doing things, and I looked at the clock. Actually, we went on a hike. So I'm here and I wanted to get the hike in, and I'm doing something really great. I'm doing something that is for me. It's for helping me. I thought this is a great way to start out the day. It's a great way to bond with you. Yet by the time I got home, I looked at the clock and I'm like, okay, I still gotta get a shower, I gotta change, and I get up there. And something said to me, you know what? Now's your opportunity, Tony. Now's your opportunity to use this. So I said, okay, universe, I'm gonna let go of stress. I am not going to be stressed out. I'm not gonna speed. I am not going to worry about what time I get there. What's the worst that could happen? I'm a little late. So I go, I get in the car, I turn on some good music, I enjoy the scenery, I enjoy the drive, I don't speed. I get there, and I force myself not to look at the clock. I said, whatever you do, the minute you get in that car, you do not look at the clock, because the clock is only gonna be, the clock is not real. I got there, there was plenty of time. We didn't tee off, people were still, you know, eating their breakfast or whatever, and I thought I had to speed.
So a great example of why don't stress.
Don't stress. It all worked out. I let it go. I let I let the universe take over and say, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Because I was on that walk with you. I was being present. I did it. I made the decision. So once you make the decision to do something, be present with it. Just like if you realize that what you've started to do is not going to be the best thing for you, then you have to make the decision to stop it. You know, okay, I don't want to be a part of this. Or if it's something you say, well, I got to see the end of it, and then I'm going to assess the situation, then you do that. But it was really magic. I actually got there, and I pulled up, and I took my bags and I put them on the cart, and I looked at people, and you know what? I wasn't really late. Nobody knew the difference. Everybody was talking. Everybody's having a good time. I started laughing inside of myself to the point where if somebody saw me, they would have probably saw a smirk on their face. And I just started walking around, and I started looking at everybody, and I started realizing that, you know what? It worked, because why would I have been worried? Why would I have been worried? I would have worried because how would other people think of me? And you know what? They weren't thinking of me. They weren't thinking of me. So you know what I did? I took care of myself on the drive up. I did not stress out. I enjoyed it. I didn't speed. I didn't potentially get in an accident. I wasn't getting their angst. I went there, and it was really great. It proves to you. So then that's how you do something. That's how you change. That's how you change. When you know that you have a behavior pattern that you want to change, use the no stress. Just, I'm not going to stress about it. Whatever it's going to be is going to be. I got myself into this situation. I decided to go on that walk. That's what it's going to be. Because in the end, that is a great example how they say when you're living presently, it kind of stops time, because it kind of did. Because there's no way in heck that I got to that tournament, in the time that I got to that tournament with the amount of time that I have. I almost said it's too eerie to realize. I know when I left because I looked at the clock right after I got out of the shower, and that was the minute I said, do not look at another clock.
So had you been continuing to look at the clock, being stressed, it may have changed the outcome.
It may have changed the outcome. Absolutely would have changed. And you know what? I may not be talking to you. I might have gotten into an accident. I'm just saying anything could have happened in that time. It's not, whatever it is, stress is not a normal human emotion that you should have. It shouldn't. There's really very few that are natural. Love, joy, equanimity, feeling that we're all equal, all of those kind of things. Anxiety, anger, stress, all of those things are made up in the mind, and they only can happen if you're living in the past or the future. But if you're living presently, then the present moment is all you have, and you accept the present moment fully for what it is, those things kind of just go away. They really become just momentary poofs, and you move on. And the key is, you know what, that's my story. That's how I did it. Whoever's watching this may have something else. But I say pick something that is really your Achilles heel and decide that you're not going to be stressed over it. That you're just going to accept the moment to where it is. Mine just happens to be being late for things. And when you really look at it, when it comes down to it, I was afraid of how people were going to think of me. In the end, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
Right. And like you said, when you got there, no one was thinking.
Nobody was. I just started laughing inside to myself, like, who the hell was I to think that me being late was going to be of any importance to really of anybody else? It's really a non-issue. So, and what's really cool is I happened to play with a guy there that had a life I mean, it was, again, there are no coincidences. This is a guy I've seen around for years, never had the opportunity to spend that much quality time with him. So we're halfway through our round, and the guy's just got the biggest smile on his face the entire day. And I'm like, wow, this is not the perception of the guy that I had. I always had this perception of this guy that he kind of was a know-it-all, he was a this, he was a that, and again, it was a judgment. But I went there and I'm just like enjoying the day. I'm enjoying the day. The guy is just having the biggest smile on his face, and we get to like the ninth tee, and he gets up to the tee, and it's a nice sunny day, and he looks up and he's like, and we're playing with his buddies, and he said, it was 4 years ago today that I almost died. Remember that, guys? He had a stroke. They were on a way to go to some sort of outing. The night before he started having his feelings, he gets rushed to the hospital, and he has a stroke. He died 17 times after that stroke. They kept reviving him. 17 times he died.
My God. And
so he eventually, was able to learn how to walk again, get some of his motor skills. He said the two things that he lost, his ability to want to smoke and his golf swing. And I have to tell you, he figured out how to golf swing. But so I said, this guy was placed in my life right now. I want to talk to him. So I'd say to him, I'm like, I got to ask you something. Did that change your life? He said, absolutely. He's like, I have to tell you that the peace that I have inside of me right now, I can't even describe. When you've died and you've come back, I can't even tell you. I can't even describe on a scale of how much peace that I have inside of me. So this guy has a business where I think he's in financing and insurance, but he's dedicated his life from that point on to building rehab centers for drug and alcohol. And so the guy he was with is a builder. They were talking about the red tape and how hard it is. It's like, you would think these people who want to just go build $1 million things, they just can't. There's all these loopholes, there's this, there's that, and therein lies. But always still had a smile on his face talking about it and saying, you know what? We're figuring it out. We're figuring it out as we go, and we're helping people as we go, and that's all that matters. But, because I asked him, I said, I thought your line of work was, he's like, yeah, no, it is. I still have my business, it's whatever, but he's like, my real passion is really helping people. So
do what you love.
Do what you love and love what you do. And it takes in a life-altering situation sometimes to put us on that path. So that's why I said, can I ask you a question? I said, do you give thanks for that stroke? He said, every single day. Every single day. I give thanks for that stroke. It changed my life. So there again, it shows you how the pattern of, you know, when you start taking care of yourself, you're going to attract those kind of people that are the same thing, which are going to help you on your journey. And that's really what it's about. It's about each one of us helping each other on our journey. So what I say is start vibrating at that path that you want, you know, because we're all just energy spinning around at different vibrations, and even our thoughts and our moods are vibration, and they're signals that are going out. Which is, by the way, that Dr. Drew, you watch that, because he actually says, he's like, it's amazing how I'm a doctor, and that's what we're starting to realize, that thoughts, like, he can be with an addict. Dr. Drew talked about, he was with this addict, and all of a sudden, during the interview with the addict, Dr. Drew started having a pain in his back.
Thoughts travel.
And he said, the drug addict across from him said, "Oh, Doc, I noticed your back is hurting." Yeah, I'm all right. He's like, "That's where my father beat the shit out of me every day when I was a kid, right there, that spot." And so Dr. Drew said, he said, from that time on, I realized, and I did research, that thoughts are energy, and that we're all in this together. We're all in this soup, whatever you want to call it. So when you start realizing that everything you do, think, say is affecting everything else, then you realize, and you'll be more cognizant of what you do, think, and say. So what kind of life do you want to have? Do you want to have a joyous, prosperous, abundant life? Or do you want to think about your pain, or you want to think about this? I mean, I've been doing this thing right now where if I get a pain, the old me would have been like, "Oh my God, that's a tumor," or "That's this," or "That's that," or "My God, am I gonna..." I just say, "Oh, okay, there's that pain. I wonder what that's here for. But I know it'll be gone soon." And it goes away. It just goes away. And I think when you realize that that's what it is, because it's not, because I am just, basically, this is just a body, but there's something inside, there's something internal that's running all of this. And that we're all connected, whether you like it or not. You could be in Bangladesh, and what I'm doing here could be affecting somebody over there. You just don't know. And that's really, really a powerful thing. And so when you become aware of that, and when you start having things happen to you in your life that can show you firsthand account of that this is happening, then you start really making changes in your life. And then you see the magic that happens when you make those changes, because you're like, wow, I cannot believe that. Mm-hmm. So I just illustrated a little story to you about how I changed an ingrained behavior and pattern that I have. So whatever, I said to myself, look, I know that I'm not going to change this forever. I know that I'm going to be in a situation where I'm going to be late again, and I may not catch it in time. But right now, by God, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it right now. From the time I leave my house to the time till I get to that tournament, I'm going to be joyful. I'm just going to turn everything else off. All those other thoughts, I'm just going to turn off. And boy, what a day did I have. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and who knows if I would have had that day.
Yeah,
so
that's a great story.
Yeah, let's have those kind of days every single day of every minute of every day. That's really the key.
Living in the present.
Living in the present moment.